Hey everyone, welcome to Watch It Play It Table Talk. My name is Rodney Smith. In this weekly segment, I propose a gaming-related topic, share my initial thoughts on it, and then invite your responses through the YouTube comments and your own videos, and this way we can all participate in the conversation. And this time, I want to talk about dice.
Dice! Oh, I thought you'd never talk about dice.
Hello, Pep McDonald.
Hello.
Person who's been living under my table. I had to have Pep join me here for this table talk because Pep loves dice.
Oh, dice.
You're wearing dice.
Everywhere.
You really went overboard with the dice today. You've got the dice rings, you've got the dice bracelet, yes, even a dice earring. Okay, and you brought dice.
Oh, of course.
Perfect. So you're well equipped to talk about this because I don't really want to talk necessarily about how dice are used like mechanically in games and all that sort of thing, but just generally what we like about dice, our favorite dice, rituals, that sort of thing. Sound good?
Let's do it.
All right, well, let's talk about maybe some of the rules that we have, personal rules around dice, because I know I'm a little strict about it on my game table a little bit. If I roll dice and they're not laying perfectly flat on the table, then I will do a re-roll. So let's say I roll these dice and one of them landed here on a token, okay? So it's not laying flat on the table. I would say, no good, we gotta re-roll that, right?
Which is awful for your table upstairs because you got those grooves everywhere.
You're so right. So yeah, that table upstairs, sometimes I shoot table talk on that other table and there are grooves, it looks really nice. Like
a nice
table.
Oh, yeah.
But the worst for dice, especially those little tiny dice, because they will get caught in that groove almost every time. Right, which is a real nuisance. But I'm a bit fussy about that, you know. And I don't know. I think it started kind of at first as like I just wanted to be clear. Like, so some people would be like, well, I don't know about that. Sometimes a die would be cocked, and some of the table would look at it and go, I don't know. I don't know if that should be counted. And I didn't want to have a discussion every time. But well, what angle is too much and isn't? So I started like, okay, got to re-roll. And then at a certain point, I was re-rolling things, even if they were just slightly. You know, and I kind of enjoyed kind of being strict about it, a little bit stern, you know? Like, oh yeah, I know you just rolled that 20, but we gotta re-roll, it's not flat on the table.
The best I find is cooperative games because then it's like, oh, you missed? Oh, but there's like a little slight speck of dust under that dice. We better re-roll that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's cocked.
Yeah.
Oh, it's on a piece of paper.
Not sure about that. No, exactly. And I'm probably a little overboard about it. But if I was at somebody else's gaming table, I wouldn't, you know, I don't care so much. I might quietly to myself raise an eyebrow if someone like accepted a cocked roll and to myself go, put a little asterisk on this game. But yeah, would you say you're as strict about that or?
I'm not so strict when it comes to the cocked rolls. A friend of mine had a little rule where if you can take another dice and put it on top of it and it doesn't slide off, that means that it's not cocked.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So like if it was just barely on there, then the angle's not going to be nearly as
so it's
severe.
Personally, as long as I can see it, it's fine. I think the only rule I have is if the dice leaves the table, if it lands on the floor, it's not a dice anymore. It's just a little piece of polyurethane sliding on plywood. There's no numbers on that
No results.
dice.
Okay, I'm the same way. It has to be on the table. But I think it's funny that you say that.
Why do you say that, Rodney?
Because when Pep rolls dice, very rarely, I mean, we can't go a whole game. Hear that? Hear that? That's my blood pressure rising right there.
This table's like what, 20 feet wide?
It doesn't matter the size of the table. Pep, you roll the dice off the table so frequently. But you're right. I'm the same way about that. And I like to think that I'm not strict without giving people the tools. That's why I will have a dice tray. And I will often like kind of nudge it towards Pep during a game, you know, like, hey, you could use this.
You know that thing doesn't help.
No, exactly.
Oh, I made it!
You actually made it. That is amazing. Because oftentimes that happens, and then over it goes on the floor. But I like you, so I put up with it. So that's I love having a dice tray. This is just made out of a frame. This is a picture frame, and I just put a little felt in it. So you don't have to spend a whole bunch of money to make a dice tray. Do you use any kind of tray type? You don't care, right? You're just free bird. You just love rolling dice on the table. Let them rain free.
Toss them all over the place, yeah. Which is awful when you're playing things like D&D because, you know, suddenly people are rolling dice and it's like, oh, you're getting them in there in the miniatures and you're knocking stuff over.
Yeah, and board games too, right? Where positioning sometimes matters and suddenly you're knocking things over.
Oh, what was our score? You knocked everybody over.
Yeah, yeah. Dice are great, but they can be a little bit of a nuisance that way without a ritual. Actually, speaking of that, I have friends of mine when they roll dice, I have another game group I play with, and depending on the die roll, if it's just a regular one, then they do the typical roll. But if it's an important one, they'll break out the single claw. So they sort of cup their hand like this, and then boom, and reveal. And then if it's a really big roll, they do the double claw. So boom, and reveal, right? I don't know that I necessarily have any special ways that I roll dice. Do you do anything in particular?
No, I find just the most distance and airtime you can get, the better, you know?
Yeah,
that's my
air
only...
time. That could be another thing contributing to the dice flying everywhere. Well, it makes it harder to cheat when you're doing your method. Your method's definitely...
That's true, you know. You don't have to worry about like anyone doing the casual slide, or the toss it down.
I mean, I really don't think I've ever played with anyone who I felt was like overtly...
I have.
Have you?
The only, like, I'm not going to name names or anything, but the only thing I can think of, there was this one guy who used to play D&D with us, and he would roll his D20 all the time, and every time he'd just be rolling it casually, and then every once in a while he'd get like a 19 or something, he'd be like, spot check. It's like, you got to tell me you're doing it before you roll.
He would just be rolling, and then when he saw something he liked, like, oh, by the way, I'm doing a spot check now.
Yeah.
Oh,
and sometimes people wouldn't even notice either.
Really?
Yeah, it was funny.
Yeah, I suppose if a lot's going on the table, and he's like, oh yeah, just do my spot check roll. Interesting. You were showing me a technique there the other day that you saw one of the people in our game group do, and I didn't see it. So what was that?
Yeah, it was kind of like a shoo.
Ah, like a little, almost like a what's this, like a sandwich maneuver here, right?
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, you're a little bit more like
Screw, and pretty controlled.
Yeah, actually.
Not going.
It doesn't really go all over the place.
Right, I like that.
And it gives the dice so much spin. I mean, if you find a way to cheat while doing this, then
you probably deserve it.
All the power to you.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, like, do you guys have any particular rituals that you do with your dice? I know people, I'm not going to go into this, I've never really done this, but some people like make sure they always store all their dice like on the 6th side up or something, you know, and have some kind of storage ritual.
Keep them in the freezer, maybe.
Right, or they punish their dice. I want to hear about that. But now I'd like to talk about our favorite dice. Do you have, I know the answer to this question. You have some favorite dice, yes? What's your favorite dice?
Oh, well, that's a complicated, you know, I do have a favorite dice, but I mean, there's just so many types of dice.
Do you want to tell me about more than just your favorite dice?
I think I'm going to have to.
Okay, all right, fine then.
So, I mean, like, you know, let's just start off, the bigger the better. I mean, this bad boy, I call this the table cracker.
Yeah, please be careful.
You know?
I don't mind you rolling on the table, but I mean, that will probably kill these miniatures.
Well, I don't know, what do you...
Okay, there we go. Yeah, this is a meaty piece of metal here. Where did you get this die from?
Oh, the first year we went to Gen Con. Wow, do you remember that? I spent over $300 just on dice, and I think I bought one board game the entire time.
Did you even buy a board game on that trip? I remember you buying lots of dice.
I don't remember what it was, but I'm pretty sure I planned on buying something.
I think you planned on buying a game, but I remember just, Pep was like, at Gen Con there's all kinds of dice sellers, right? There's booths and booths of them, and you can just dip your hands in buckets of dice.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time at Crystal Cast, though.
Yes, yeah, that's right.
That's where I got most of these.
Yeah, so would you say then that this is your favorite die?
Well, no, I guess this is my favorite metal dice.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I guess unless you want to talk about the dice rings, they're my favorite wearable metal dice.
Okay, yes, I have some of these too, actually.
Yeah, we got them from the Kickstarter you showed me, Crit Success.
Crit Success, that's right. I thought they were just kind of cool and clever, and they have like a variety of different denominations there, D6, D10, 12, all the different.
Yeah, so I had to get them all.
Yes, you did.
I had to get a set, you know?
And they had like they had a life counter one too that clicks. Like these ones freely spin. You like spin it, right? And then there's a little mark notch to tell you which number you roll. Okay, so are those your favorite dice then?
No, these are just my favorite wearable dice for sure. I guess I'd have to mention these ones. These ones are really cool. They're like little tops, so you know you spin them and then they land where they roll.
I've never seen dice. Like, where'd you find these?
I think they were Crystal Cast as well, honestly.
So at Gen Con?
At Gen Con, yeah, I also got them at Gen Con.
So this is your favorite die then?
No, it's probably my favorite exotic dice. You know, it's a little bit different.
Okay.
And then there's these opal ones that we got.
Oh, these are the ones you've paid quite.
Yeah, I always wanted to have a really expensive dice set, so I was like, oh, I got to pick these up.
Yeah, because these kind of catch the light, don't they? Like,
yeah, especially natural light. They get this cool little yellow glow through them.
Yeah, so I think these are the ones you probably spent the most on. So these are your favorite dice then, right?
Well, they're my favorite, shiny dice.
Okay, I see where this is going here.
This magic countdown D20, I really like this one.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. It's got a little skull there on it. Okay, so this is your favorite die then?
No, I just think this little skull is really neat.
Okay.
But, and then there's these big giant ones, a whole set of giant dice. And then there's these little tiny ones to go with them, look.
Right.
And then, mini D6s, everybody loves mini D6s.
Can I put you out of your misery here? I'm not going to make you pick your favorite dice, okay? Obviously, this is very difficult for you. You love dice, you love all your different dice. I will tell you my favorite dice, because I do have a favorite. This really bugs me, because I don't remember the gentleman who created these. These were on Indiegogo, which is another crowdfunding site. And I can't remember his name. I don't remember what he called these dice. I went on Indiegogo trying to find the original page. These are glass. They're made out of glass. They're handcrafted, and inside there's a bit of Japanese felt. He was doing these in Japan, and the Japanese felt is in its own little cube shape, and then within this clear dice. And I just love the different colors, the fabric. I love the feel of them. They're quite light, but they're not too light, and I think they have just beautiful presence on the table. I almost never use them, but I'm so happy I have them. I saw them, and I wanted to share them with you guys, the audience, to help him with his campaign, because I really liked what he was doing. And then I think he ran into a couple of production snags and decided not to do it. So I feel very fortunate that I have these. But beautiful. If any of you guys saw this campaign and remember who it was or whatever, please let me know in the comments of this video. So these are my favorite. I do have a favorite.
Well, what's that one over there?
Oh yeah. This is kind of a neat one too. This one is from Artisan Dice. I got this at BGG Con. It was very nice. My birthday happened while I was at the con, and Isaac Vega, the designer of Dead of Winter, he picked this up for me, and it's modeled after I think what archaeologists discovered was the first multi-sided D20 type die. And it had some of these different symbols on it, right? So Artisan Dice recreated it, and they're selling it. So this is very unique. And so this one definitely is, right up there in my tops. So.
I guess, I have to be honest. I do have a favorite set of dice, but I mean, I'm almost embarrassed. They're so plain. It's just these. This little set with it's a nice blacky, dark purpley with the green. It's my favorite colors. It came out really well. The numbers are nice and crisp, and I just like the way they look,
Well, if nothing else, I feel like we've accomplished something here. We got Pep to acknowledge you do have a favorite set of dice. Great, well maybe you do as well, and I'd love to hear about that. You can put your comments below this video, or if you'd like to record a video for us, that's great too. You can show us your favorite set of dice, or tell us about your rituals or superstitions. Superstitions? Do you have any superstitions?
Oh, well, some people have belief that some dice roll better or worse than others.
Right.
I took a more scientific approach to it.
Oh, you did?
I rolled every single dice that I own 1,000 times, and then I wrote...
No. Every single die you own? Like all of these dice?
Yeah, every dice.
Oh my goodness, this is new to me. This is a new story. How many times did you say?
1,000.
1,000
each.
times, okay.
Yeah, and then wrote down the averages.
So did you discover something? Did you uncover something?
Well, there were a couple of dice that roll a little bit higher or a little bit lower, but for the most part, I discovered that dice kind of roll, an average.
What you'd hope.
What you would expect, yeah, for the most part.
Well, I feel like you've done something to contribute to the gaming community.
Time well spent.
Yeah, because now no one else has to waste their time doing this. Thank you, Pep. But do write in. Let us know about your experience with dice, the things you like about dice, you don't like, and all the rest of it. And we're going to leave that to you. And until the next episode, thanks for watching.
That's too much money.
You are such a child. 2, 1.
What was that?
I just threw this up.
Oh.
3. So it's going to be... Okay. All right, so we did... Okay, so we did manage to get... Caused you, Luke. 3, 2, 1. Well, if nothing else, we've managed to get... Nothing else.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah.
Watch for thanking.
What's the little piano playing?